So I had the privilege of living in America for 2 years, and when I came back, something happened in my heart. I had an incredible love for South Africa and for Durban. And towards the end of last year, I made a decision that I was no longer going to engage in negative conversation around the boardroom table, around the dining room table, around the coffee table, on the golf course. I decided that I was going to become a positive South African, that I was going to get off the stands where everyone sits with a heck of a lot to say, with a lot of criticism, and I was going to get onto the field and start playing the game. You know what it's like when you make a commitment. Very soon thereafter, you encounter a challenge. And that challenge I encountered was Louise. I had the privilege, very soon after making that commitment, of having her around my dining room table one evening. And I was incredibly taken by this lady. And I decided that the next day I would go to a similar event like this. It was actually a breakfast in Durban. And I'd hear all about Partners for Possibility, which I did. And I came out of that breakfast and I was pumped because I thought this now is my avenue to express myself on the field. That was a Thursday. On the Monday morning, I'm in my business. There's chaos. I'm handling people, telephone calls, and I get the Partners for Possibility lady. Mr. Toit, you were at a breakfast on Thursday. I'm thinking, you just said that you were prepared to sign up for the course. Now I'm just thinking for every excuse why I'm not available. How can I commit 150 hours of my time in the next year to a program? But I had decided in my heart that I was going to do this thing, and so I signed up, paid my money, and a couple of weeks after that, I got introduced to my headmistress, this amazing lady, Toit, and I must say from the moment that I met her, I realized that I'd made a good decision. And so we started on a journey. It was very soon thereafter that I took my wife and I, and we jumped in our car, and we were going to have our first introduction to Ottawa Primary School, literally 10 or 12 minutes away from my house. You know, I thought it was going to be easy. This is simple. We'll throw a bit of cash at it, we'll apply some business principles, in 2 months I'm out of there. This thing will be sorted. So I arrived at Ottawa Primary School, and what I saw changed my life forever. I remember saying to Toit, so where's your market? Where do you get your students? She says, look into the hills. Informal settlement. I thought, gee, okay. I see these little guys. The bell goes, they're running. Across rivers, down the valley, coming to school. I said to my wife, if they ask me to say anything, you're going to have to take over because I'm done. I'm undone. I'm emotionally undone. There's not a chance I can say one word this morning. I saw these little faces and something broke in my heart. I realized actually that this was the cold face. After that, Toit took me around the school, and the school's got 3 grade R classes with 30 odd kids in each. And the thing that I was about to see would change my life forever. I remember walking to the 3rd class, thinking, well, where's the 3rd classroom? There was a 3x4 security hut. She opened the door and there were 32 kids sitting in that hut. I want to tell you, fellow South Africans, this is not a political issue. It's not a racial issue. It's not a social issue. I actually believe it's a human rights issue. How can we, on our guard, allow 32 kids, 5 years old, to sit in a 3x4 security hut and be educated? Surely we have to be part of the solution to ensure that that's not the case. I looked at the scenario, informal settlement, 100% probably illiteracy, impoverished. These kids come to school hungry every day. It's been scientifically proven that you cannot think on an empty stomach. Most of them, the majority of them, are orphaned. They come from situations where they're either looked after by a gogo or by a sibling. And to tap it all, on top of that, the final nail in the coffin is that Toit has a budget of 150,000 Rand a year to run a school with 992 students. As a businessman, I know that the main reason businesses go out of business is because they're undercapitalized. And here we're expecting a lady to run a school of 992 kids on 150,000 Rand a year. I walked away from that situation. I got into my car. I said to my wife, this is an impossible situation. It's impossible. There's no solution to what I've just encountered. And so began my journey in March this year with Toit and Ottawa Primary School. And I want to say, friends, that it's been a life-changing experience. Every day that I drive away from Ottawa, that I go to Ottawa and I drive away just a couple of times a month, I actually feel like I'm building the nation. I feel like I'm contributing to building South Africa. Now you might say, but Chris, it's one school with 992 kids. You know, friends, one can become two. Two can become four. And very, very soon, if we could get 20,000 South Africans to put up their hands and to take ownership of one school, we'll solve this problem by 2030. I genuinely believe it in my heart. We've had an amazing journey, Toit and I. She's actually become one of my closest friends. I think more about Ottawa Primary School than I do about my business. It's crazy. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking, because it's not about money, it's about sustainable solutions. And that's the challenge. If somebody had just said to me, write a check out for 80,000 Rand, it would have been such an easy solution. But to give up my time and my thought process and get my family involved, that's been the challenge. But actually what's happened is I've been changed. I've realized through this journey, I came from a middle-class white, typical middle-class white family. The divide between Toit and myself was so big. And we've sat for hours and we've discussed this. We've been honest with each other. And she's helped me bridge the gap. She's helped me to understand the challenges that really are at the cold face of South Africa. And one of the things that we've done, which has been so great, we've introduced our own currency. We decided that the school was paying outside vendors to do certain services, and we can't battle to get engagement with the community. So we introduced a system whereby we put up a value to a service. And we said, okay, if the lawn needs mowing, it's 60 Rand. We'll get somebody from the local community and we'll assign that 60 Rand to their school fees so that they don't have to pay. And we've had fun just collaborating on some of these things. But I want to leave you with this story. There's a guy, Mark Proctor, he's an ex-South African cricketer who's been working into my school for the last 5 years. And he, on his own accord, has set up a foundation. He brings in coaches and he coaches these little guys to play cricket. And to see their joy on their face when they run out to the field to play cricket, it's an absolute delight. So I'm standing on the cricket field, this bumpy little field. I say to Mark, it's 40 degrees in the shade. I say, Mark, why do you do this? And with tears in his eyes, he says, Chris, I'll tell you why I do this. He said, I had a little 12-year-old girl come to me. And she said, Mark, you know, every day that I go home, my uncle's waiting to abuse me. But for the hour that I play cricket, I'm able to forget about my uncle. And he said, Chris, that's why I do what I do. Surely, ladies and gentlemen, surely we have to give our kids freedom. Surely if we can just take it within ourselves to give some of our time, we can change the face of this nation through our education system. In the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the book of Nehemiah, God asks Nehemiah 2 questions. He says, how are my people and how is my city? I believe as South Africans, we will get asked the question, how is my children and how are my schools? And right now, friends, we'll be found wanting if we try and answer that question. But I want to ask you, when you get that call, because you'll get the call, from the PFP lady, I'm imploring you to please think about the fact that you can make a difference and change this nation, this incredible nation of ours, South Africa. Thank you for listening.